Think trash has no beauty? Wait till you see what broken bottles, scraps, and old toys can do to your garden. This isn't about decoration. It's about transformation with what you already have. Welcome to Archon Aesthetic Studio. In this video, 40+ budget-friendly DIY garden border ideas, made from things you'd usually throw away. Got a small space? A tiny yard? You'll find something here. Check the timestamps to skip to what you need. Questions? Drop them in the comments. I reply to all. These images are just inspiration. You don't need to copy them. Use what you have and make it your own. I might just be a voice on a screen to you, but behind this video is a small family chasing a dream. Every like, comment, and subscribe, it truly matters. You're not just supporting a channel. You're keeping hope alive, one click at a time. Thanks for being here. Thanks for seeing us. One, broken wine bottles as colorful garden edging. There's something quietly poetic about giving broken things a second chance. Not just mending, but reimagining. In this tiny corner of the earth, surrounded by concrete and routine, an unexpected glow catches the eye. It's not from gold or rare stones, but from the sun slipping through old wine bottles, their colors reborn in the softest light. Once tossed aside, now they rise again, half buried, glistening like stained glass around blooms of daisies, tulips, and marigolds. Each bottle tells a story. Green from a summer night with friends. Blue from a celebration long past. Amber from a dinner shared in quiet gratitude. Now, they stand as a garden border, necks down in the soil, grounded, purposeful. And here's the beauty. This wasn't bought. It was built. By hands that saw value in what others missed. By eyes that chose potential over perfection. Look closer. The edges are polished for safety, but not too smooth. The texture remains honest, real. Each curve and color adds a touch of whimsy, a kind of organic order. In the morning light, they reflect the sky. By dusk, they shimmer in gold. If you have a few bottles and a patch of soil, you have all you need. No need for a big yard. Even the narrowest pathway or the smallest bed can become a canvas. Rinse the bottles. Cut them if needed, or simply bury them neck first. Mix colors. Trust your instinct. Let the glass become a frame for life to grow, vibrant, imperfect, and entirely your own. This is more than DIY. It's a quiet act of beauty, a way to say, what's broken can still belong. Two upcycled bamboo blinds as mini garden fence. Not all fences are meant to keep the world out. Some are built to hold a little beauty in. Here, in a slender space between walls and wires, a simple bamboo blind stretches quietly across the scene. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It just is. Worn by time, softened by sun, and grounded by a border of stone, it becomes more than a divider. It becomes a backdrop for life to grow. Ivy begins to climb it, slowly, patiently, like it's learning to trust again. And perhaps that's what this space is, a lesson in quiet renewal. Just around the corner, another transformation unfolds. A forgotten patch near a sunlit wall becomes a tiny sanctuary. Nothing fancy, just a handful of bright flowers held gently by a circle of bamboo slats, once part of a blind, now standing proud. There's no plastic, no polished steel. Just earth, wood, and color, alive in its imperfection. And then there's the heart of it, a vegetable bed wrapped in a handmade bamboo fence. Twine pulls the slats together like a thread holding a story in place. Lettuce, ripe and ruffled, leans into the morning light. Tomato vines stretch toward the sky, as if grateful to be rooted in something this simple, this human. It's easy to forget how little we truly need to create something that matters. No big budget, no blueprint, just your hands, your heart, and the willingness to look twice at something old. If you have a roll of bamboo blinds tucked away in your shed or closet, pull it out. Cut it, shape it, wrap it around a garden bed or stretch it across a fence frame. Let it breathe again, not as something discarded, but as something reborn. Because in the right hands, even the most ordinary materials can build something sacred. Not just a fence, a feeling, a space that says, I made this, and it matters. Three cracked perfume bottles turned into patio plant decor. There's something deeply poetic about repurposing what once held fleeting beauty. Perfume bottles, delicate, often forgotten once emptied, are brought back to life here, not with fragrance, but with roots. Imagine a soft morning sun warming the patio. Cracked glass glistens, not broken, but reborn. Inside these imperfect vessels, succulents thrive, green, confident, grounded. Their stillness speaks louder than any scent ever did. The cracks in the glass? They don't ruin the piece. They complete it. They tell the story. On the fence, bottles dangle gently from twine. Each one holds a simple bouquet, white daisies smiling against a wooden backdrop. As a breeze passes through, they sway, casting shadows like echoes of wildflowers dancing in the air. It's all so ordinary, and yet so magical. A little further, a weathered wooden shelf clings to a brick wall, lined with bottles aged by time. Some are foggy, some tinted by the past. Inside them, dried florals rest, tucked into place like memories sealed in glass. You don't need anything new to recreate this. Just your own story, your own hands. Maybe your bottles don't match. Maybe they're chipped. Good. Let them be. Let your space reflect imperfection in the most beautiful way. Line a fence. Fill a corner. Build a shelf. Let nature fill the vessels where perfume once lingered, and turn what was once decorative into something alive. Because beauty doesn't always bloom from the flawless. Sometimes it grows through the cracks and whispers, "Look again." Four, DIY sea-themed border using seashells, sand and broken marbles. There is something deeply calming about the sea. Its rhythm, its silence, the way it washes over everything and makes it new again. And in a quiet backyard, that feeling has been captured, not with water, but with texture, memory, and light. The path winds gently like a shoreline, its edges kissed with soft sand and seashells collected not just from beaches, but from forgotten corners of drawers and baskets. Each shell, once carried by waves, now finds a new purpose, resting against sun-warmed mulch and tucked among polished marbles, worn glass, and weathered stone. You don't need to live near the ocean to bring the coast home. A handful of sea glass, a few shells, and some patience are enough to turn any garden border into a piece of the shore. The design isn't perfect, and that's the point. Some shells are chipped. Some glass is cracked. Yet together, they shimmer with life under sunlight, just like tide pools do in early morning. There's aloe stretching out beside smooth blue pebbles, fescue waving quietly with the breeze, and tiny shells nestled like secrets into sand. Between it all, color, contrast, and the quiet joy of transformation. Here, even the broken is treasured. Even the small has power to create serenity. So gather what you have. Look again at the pieces you once thought useless. And let your garden tell its own tide-wash story. One shell, one step, one fragment of light at a time. Five, torn sofa foam into raised garden bed insulation. Not everything old needs to be thrown away. Sometimes, it just needs a new job, a softer role, a second beginning. Look closely at these raised garden beds, not at the thriving vegetables above, but beneath them. Lining the inside walls, you'll find torn sofa foam, a material once used for comfort indoors, now cradling life outdoors. It's not pristine, it's not perfect, but it works, and it speaks. These beds are more than wood and soil. They're layered with stories, foam pulled from forgotten couches, saved from landfills, now insulating roots and holding warmth on cooler nights. That torn yellow padding may not look like much, but in the world of DIY gardening, it's a hidden hero. In one corner, foam is tucked between crate slats, where tomato plants rise tall and pepper stems reach for the sun. In another, herbs like basil and rosemary flourish above panels lined with aged cushioning, their roots grateful for the quiet insulation below. It's practical, it's resourceful, and yes, it's beautiful in its own humble way. You don't need expensive materials to build a garden that thrives. You just need to see with different eyes. To look at something broken and say, I can use this. So if you have an old sofa, don't toss the foam. Cut it, shape it, line your planter boxes. Give it a new purpose, one that feeds, shelters, and supports growth in the most unexpected places. Because in the garden, just like in life, the softest things often make the strongest foundation. Six CD discs as reflective borders to keep birds away. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the most surprising. Where once there was music, movies, data, now there's light, reflection, protection, a second act. In this garden, old CD discs, once forgotten in drawers, useless in the digital age, stand proud. Not as trash, but as guardians. Their mirrored faces glint beneath the sun, sending flashes of light through rows of green, like ripples on water. Look down the winding path, each step marked with a disc half buried in soil. It's not just beautiful, it's brilliant. The way they catch light, shimmer, and move with the breeze. It confuses birds, deters curious beaks, and gives tender greens a chance to grow in peace. And when the wind stirs, the magic begins. CDS strung on stakes sway gently over bean plants and radishes, turning this patch of earth into something between science fiction and a secret sanctuary. The movement is subtle. The effect is powerful. Further in, a circle of discs forms a border, surrounding crisp heads of lettuce, standing like tiny shields. They don't hum anymore. They don't spin, but they still shine, still serve, still protect. You don't need perfection. You don't need polish. You just need to see differently. So before you throw out those old discs, pause. The rainbow reflections they cast might just be the most creative border your garden ever knew. Functional, playful, and full of life. Because sometimes, a little shimmer is all it takes to keep a dream growing undisturbed. 7. Puzzle pieces for whimsical garden stone mosaic. Sometimes, the things we lose become the most beautiful things we find again. A puzzle piece, separated from the rest, may feel useless, its picture incomplete, its story unfinished. But in a garden like this, scattered pieces come together not in a box, but in the soil. They form borders, pathways, playgrounds for petals and sunlight. Here, the garden doesn't whisper serenity. It sings childhood. It giggles in color. It remembers rainy afternoons, warm tables, and little hands fitting pieces together. The magic of those memories now lives on in the ground beneath your feet. The path is playful, a mosaic of waterproof puzzle tiles nestled among gravel and thyme. No two shapes match, and that's exactly the point. This is not order. This is joy. This is what happens when we dare to make beauty out of the broken. Along the edge of a flower bed, you'll see more puzzle pieces, some painted, some bearing the faded remnants of cartoons or board games. Cement holds them in place, but imagination gives them meaning. Daisies and sunflowers lean into them, blooming inside borders not made by professionals, but by hearts. And there, in the narrow walkway, the path narrows, framed by ivy, bright marigolds, and a collage of pieces no one else thought to save. Puzzle parts meet seashells, meet bottle caps, meet smooth pebbles. It's chaotic. It's curious. It's absolutely beautiful. Because gardens, like life, aren't about perfect pieces. They're about creating something whole from everything we have left. So go ahead. Collect those orphaned pieces. Let them play again. Let them border dreams and bloom into something new. Because sometimes the most whimsical wonders begin with what no one thought was worth keeping. Eight old tennis balls as garden edging on tiny patios. Sometimes, the simplest things carry stories we've long forgotten, like a worn-out tennis ball, once tossed across courts and now, gently resting among blossoms and herbs. In this cozy little patio, creativity takes a soft, unexpected turn. Look closely and you'll find an edge not carved in stone, but stitched in neon fuzz, old tennis balls, repurposed with playful elegance. Some are cut and aligned like pearls along the wooden frame of a raised bed, others perched neatly on wire stakes forming a bouncy, whimsical fence around blooming pansies and golden calendulas. Each one stands like a tiny sentinel, gentle, quiet, and just a little cheeky. In the second image, the garden path dances with color and memory. Dozens of balls roll down a gravel trail, like scattered confetti from a celebration long past. They create not just a border, but a sense of rhythm, soft to the touch, kind to wandering feet, and utterly unforgettable. Even the herb garden isn't left out. Along a tidy edge of mint and thyme, the tennis balls line up like bright punctuation marks, offering not only charm but a layer of protection from harsh weather or tumbling tools. And here lies the lesson. What we often toss away might just be waiting for a second serve, a new purpose. This isn't just about saving money or reducing waste. It's about choosing whimsy, about letting your garden tell its own story. A tale of joy, of reinvention, and of life continuing to bloom in the most unexpected forms. So next time you find an old ball in the garage, think twice. Maybe it's not the end of its game. Maybe it's just the start of your garden's next chapter. Nine, plastic candy containers as hanging fence planters. In a world where fences often stand bare and forgotten, some hands choose to give them joy instead. Here, in this gentle backyard scene, discarded plastic candy containers, once colorful carriers of sweet treats, find a second life. Their transformation into vibrant hanging planters is not just resourceful, it's uplifting. Tied lovingly with simple string or old shoelaces, each one cradles new life. Pansies in bright purples and yellows, petunias spilling their petals like painted whispers. There's something deeply human in this act. To take what would be trash and offer it new purpose. To decorate not with wealth, but with imagination. And all it takes is a wall, a few hooks, and the willingness to look twice at what we might otherwise toss aside. In one frame, we see a wooden lattice-turned gallery of green. Mason jars and old candy tubs dangle neatly, revealing the winding roots of herbs and succulents. Transparent containers make the unseen visible. You witness life growing from the soil to the leaves, tracing every curve of basil, every thread of parsley, right through the glass. It's a miniature vertical farm, and it breathes with possibility. And in another scene, the colors multiply like a child's dream. Planters in neon green, radiant red, sunshine yellow, and deep violet line a picket fence, each blooming like confetti thrown across a festival. These containers don't match, yet together, they sing in harmony, a rainbow chorus in a tiny corner of the earth. These ideas aren't about spending. They're about noticing, about choosing joy over perfection. They're about holding on to things a little longer, not because they're useful as they were, but because they could become something more. Something beautiful. Something alive. If you have a fence, you have a canvas. If you have old jars, you have pots. If you have string, you have a way to hang hope. Start small. Start bright. Start somewhere. Let your garden be a celebration, not of things bought, but of things cherished. Used paintbrushes as quirky garden label stakes. In a quiet corner of a backyard where herbs lean toward the sun and the soil smells of promise, something unusual stands among the sprouts. Not the usual markers or polished stakes, but old, weathered paintbrushes. Once used to coat walls and color dreams, these brushes now serve a gentler purpose. They tell stories of basil and rosemary, of tomatoes just beginning to stretch their limbs. There is something poetic about giving an old object a new identity. In this little garden bed, the bristles, frayed and softened by time, stand proud like the wild hair of eccentric artists. Their wooden handles, once gripped tightly with purpose, now simply rest, etched with names in bold marker: parsley, mint, cilantro. These brushes don't paint color anymore, they guide growth. Look closer and you'll notice that some still bear flecks of paint, ghosts of old projects that now mingle with the scent of oregano and chives. The once stiff tools, discarded by many, have found their redemption in the soil. It's a reminder that usefulness doesn't end when function fades. With a bit of imagination, even the most unlikely object can bloom again, just like the seedlings below them. This idea is not only charming, it's practical. The broad, flat surface of a brush is perfect for writing plant names clearly. The handles press easily into soil, and their rustic appearance adds whimsy to the plot. Whether you use bold colors or let the wood show its age, each brush becomes a character, an old friend watching over your vegetables. So the next time you clean out your toolbox or paint closet, pause before tossing those worn brushes. Set them aside. Let them weather a little more. And then, on a sunny morning, press them gently into your garden soil and let them begin again. Not as tools of paint, but as poets of plants. Because in a world full of waste, giving something a second life isn't just creative, it's an act of quiet rebellion. And isn't that the heart of gardening itself? A bit of rebellion, a bit of faith, and a deep, grounded hope that something will grow. (11) Shoelaces and ribbons to tie decorative mini plants along fences. In the quiet corner of a forgotten fence, where the wood whispers stories of past seasons, color and life begin to return, threaded not with nails, but with shoelaces and scraps of ribbon. Here, the magic lies in simplicity. Each pot, once overlooked and cast aside, is now reborn with purpose. Bound in mismatched laces, some neon bright, others faded with time, they dangle gently like cheerful notes in a symphony of salvage. The ribbons catch the afternoon breeze, dancing softly against the wooden slats, casting playful shadows as sunlight filters through. Mint, oregano, and baby ferns find their sanctuary in upcycled tins and jars, suspended like ornaments in a vertical melody of green. Each knot, every tie, tells a story of resourcefulness, of beauty crafted not from perfection, but from love and intention. The imperfections are what make it charming. Some pots lean, some ribbons fray, but the garden feels alive, authentic, joyful. This is a space not defined by money, but by care. Not by symmetry, but by soul. If you've ever tucked old shoelaces into a drawer, thinking maybe someday, this is your sign. That someday is now. A garden doesn't need grandeur. It needs hands willing to create, a heart willing to try, and a willingness to see treasure in what others might discard. Hang up old cans. Reuse that chipped jar. Tie them in place. Let color bloom in both petals and fabric. Even in the narrowest spaces, between fences, beneath shadows, beyond expectation, beauty will grow. And when it does, it won't just grow upward. It will grow in you. Old paper clips as plant hangers in tiny yards. Sometimes, brilliance hides in plain sight, bent in forgotten drawers, rusting in desk corners, or tossed in the bottom of a toolbox. And sometimes, it takes the gentlest imagination to breathe new life into the small, overlooked things. In one tiny backyard, where space is precious and creativity reigns, a simple piece of twine strung between two fences becomes the stage for something quietly beautiful. Dangling from the line, old paper clips, bent, mismatched, a little weathered, cradle clusters of cheerful blooms and tender herbs. Viola, chives, thyme, all swaying gently in the morning breeze. The clips might not gleam like new, but their resilience tells a better story of reuse, of resourcefulness, of charm born from imperfection. There's something inherently poetic about using what we already have, turning a broken office clip into a vessel of life. Not only does it save money, but it transforms your garden into a sanctuary of personality and character. You're not just planting flowers, you're planting stories. Look closer, and you'll notice the delight in the contrast. Vibrant yellows and purples of the blooms set against the muted tones of weathered metal. Sunlight dances on the curved wires. Shadows stretch long and lean across the planks of a wooden fence. No filter could improve what nature already perfects. If you're thinking of trying this yourself, there's no need for perfection. Twist old clips into gentle hooks. Wrap twine across a fence or a trellis. Gather lightweight pots or jars. Even cleaned tin cans will do. Let gravity and sunlight do the rest. It's a DIY that asks for little but gives a lot. This kind of garden is more than just decoration. It's a reflection of who you are, imaginative, patient, unafraid to break the rules a little. And isn't that what gardens are for? To nourish not just the earth, but also the spirit? So the next time you're holding a paper clip, pause before tossing it away. You might just be holding a future bloom. Let your fence become your canvas. Let your trash become your treasure. And let your garden grow not only with plants, but with poetry. Repurposed wood puzzle boards as edging panels. In a world often obsessed with the new, there is a gentle kind of beauty in giving forgotten things a second chance, especially when it blooms in your own backyard. Take a look at these charming wooden beds, carved not from polished perfection but from the seasoned hands of reuse. These are not just planters. They are quiet storytellers. Each plank, marked by time, now frames a garden full of life. Tulips stand tall and bold, while daffodils sway softly in the spring air. The wood may be cracked in places, the screws rusted, but the flowers don't seem to mind. They lean into the morning sun as if to say, "This is home enough." Using reclaimed wood to build garden borders or raised beds is not only budget-friendly, it's soul-friendly. It whispers of sustainability, of crafting with care. Perhaps you have leftover fence boards, an old wooden pallet, or even broken furniture you were ready to discard. But pause. Look again. Those fragments may be the very skeleton of your next flourishing space. Notice the pastel-painted fence in the second photo. It once guarded something else, maybe a porch or a child's playground. Now, with soft hues and imperfect edges, it gently fences in rows of kale and lettuce, bright greens bordered by faded charm. This is the poetry of imperfection, the invitation to create something not flawless, but full of feeling. And there, in the last frame, sunlight drapes warmly over zinnias and lavender cradled by rough wooden beams. Not one piece matches another perfectly. The angles are slightly off, but in that unrefined frame, a patch of wild beauty thrives. You see, a garden doesn't ask for much, just soil, a little sunlight, and a bit of love. And often, it returns the favor tenfold. Let this inspire your hands to build, not with fear of doing it wrong, but with the joy of trying. Gather scraps from your shed, or ask a neighbor for cast-offs. Paint them or leave them bare. Let each reused piece carry the past into something beautifully present. Because the best gardens aren't grown with money. They're grown with patience, with stories, and with the quiet courage to begin with what you already have. (14) DIY mini garden border from cracked flower pots. Sometimes, the beauty of a garden doesn't lie in perfection. It whispers through its imperfections, its stories, its second chances. In the heart of a modest backyard, where the air carries the scent of moist earth and blooming marigolds, a circle of cracked terracotta pots stands proudly. Once forgotten in corners, chipped and dismissed, they now frame a vibrant bed of begonias and snapdragons. Each fragment, tilted slightly by hand, rests like a puzzle piece in the soil. No two alike, and yet they belong. This isn't just decoration. It's poetry made practical. It's sustainability disguised as charm. Broken pots are incredibly easy to upcycle. Their curved shapes, whether split in two or in jagged quarters, naturally lend themselves to edging. If you bury them slightly into the soil, they stand firm and weatherproof, defining flower beds with warmth and rustic authenticity. Even the flaws in their surfaces catch sunlight in unique ways, casting irregular shadows that shift throughout the day. One image reveals a circular flower bed, the kind you dream of walking barefoot around. Another shows a path lined with shards of patterned ceramic, like a trail of old memories guiding your steps. And a third, intimate and quiet, shows herbs, rosemary, thyme, nestled within a border built from halves and quarters of what once held them. It's a circle completed. And here's a gentle reminder: don't throw away that broken pot. Give it purpose. Turn it into a border, a path, a frame for something living. The process isn't difficult. It doesn't demand money, only care. You break, you dig, you plant, you smile. Let the dirt under your nails be the proof of your creativity. Let the old become new, not perfect, but real. Because in this garden, the broken things bloom again. "15. DIY fairy fence from beads, lace, and broken dolls." Some gardens whisper, others sing. But this one, this curious corner bordered not by stones or bricks, but by memories and imagination, tells stories. Here, broken doll parts, once forgotten in dusty attics or long-abandoned toy boxes, are given new purpose. They're not just fragments. They are guardians, jesters, queens of a miniature realm. A garden wrapped in whimsy, clothed in lace like vintage curtains from a grandmother's trunk, draped delicately between plastic limbs and beaded strands. Each piece, chipped and imperfect, speaks of playtimes past, and now they protect blooming dreams. One planter is encircled by doll torsos strung together with pearls, cherries, and sparkle, looking like a royal court in full regalia. Inside, marigolds and pansies glow like loyal subjects under their watchful gaze. Another bed is home to fairy folk and mushroom sentinels, surrounded by ruffled lace that sways gently with the wind, giving the illusion of breath in a garden that's very much alive. And then, perhaps the most surreal of all, a fence of doll arms, fingers raised like they're reaching toward the sun, or waving to us from a world we forgot we once belonged to. Each hand wrapped in doilies, each fingertip capped with buttons, beads, or thimbles. A tapestry of playfulness, recycled art, and tender defiance against waste. This garden reminds us, there is no rulebook for creativity. Not when a child's broken doll can become part of a living, breathing artwork. Not when an old sock, a bit of wire, or a string of forgotten beads can weave magic into dirt. So the next time you hold something broken in your hand, don't toss it. Listen. It might be whispering its next chapter to you. A chapter not of landfill, but of laughter, lace, and the delicate charm of gardens that dream. "16. Beach Vibes Fence Decor with Color Glass and Seashells." Somewhere between the soft hush of seafoam and the sun-warmed scent of driftwood lies the idea that beauty doesn't always come from what is new. It often grows from what's been weathered, softened, and simply waiting for a second chance. In the heart of a small, sunlit patio, a plain wooden fence has become a canvas for memory. Here, broken sea glass, once discarded shards, catch the light like whispers from the tide. Hung delicately alongside smoothed seashells, each one unique, they sway gently in the breeze, clinking like wind chimes telling tales of coastal wanderings. These aren't just decorations. They're fragments of forgotten beach days, jars of shells, glass washed ashore, pieces of ceramic once lost in the sand. And with only string and a bit of patience, they become poetry suspended in midair. Along another fence line, sunlight dances across a mosaic of ocean tones: turquoise, cobalt, amber. Waves made not of water, but of glass and glue. Every line shaped by hand. A sunburst blooms from the center, crafted with scallop shells, marbles, and pebbles gathered one by one. It's imperfect, and that's what makes it perfect. At the base of the fence, succulents stretch from sandy soil, their plump leaves echoing the forms above them. It's a garden not just for growing, but for remembering, for feeling. This is more than decor. It's a feeling, a slow return to simplicity, a reminder that with a little glue, some time, and a handful of what others might throw away, we can build serenity. If you're thinking of trying something like this yourself, begin by gathering what calls to you. Sea glass, broken plates, old jewelry. Let texture and color be your guide, not precision. Use waterproof adhesive to attach pieces to wood, and remember, the magic lies in irregularity. Because in the garden, as in life, it's not always about symmetry, it's about soul. So breathe easy. Let your hands do the dreaming. And may your fence, your walls, your garden become a story only you could tell. (17) DIY lantern fence decor from damaged paper lanterns. As the sun begins its slow descent and shadows stretch gently across a quiet backyard, something magical begins to glow. Strung along the fence like whispered memories are delicate paper lanterns, some slightly crumpled, others faded by time. Yet here they are, glowing softly, casting golden halos against the weathered wood and weaving light into the fabric of evening. Once forgotten or damaged, these lanterns now find new purpose, patched with scraps of lace, dotted with hand-painted petals, or gently torn in ways that tell their own story. And that's what makes this space sing. Not in perfection, but in the soulful beauty of reuse. These images remind us, not all broken things need fixing, some just need reimagining. With a bit of string, a touch of paint, and a flicker of light, a dull corner can become a quiet haven. Solar fairy lights tucked inside faded lanterns offer not just illumination, but emotion. And suddenly, your patio or garden fence becomes something far more than a divider. It becomes a gathering place for dreams. Don't be afraid to lean into what's imperfect. Old paper lanterns that survived seasons can be the warmest companions for your nighttime garden rituals. Even a slightly torn lantern takes on poetic charm when the wind rustles it just right. Add a few potted herbs, a cozy bench, a tray of candles, and you have your own garden retreat, stitched together not with grand plans, but with small, beautiful salvages. So the next time you're about to throw away a worn paper shade, pause. Hold it up to the light. Imagine it glowing again, not despite its flaws, but because of them. (18) Rusty padlocks and keys as fence wall art for small gardens. In a quiet backyard, where marigolds nod in gentle winds and sage grows silver in the late sun, a wooden fence has become something much more than a boundary. It's a canvas of forgotten stories, where weathered padlocks and rusted keys have found new life, not as tools of security, but as whispers of memory. Every lock once sealed a suitcase, a gate, a diary box. Each key perhaps once turned to open something precious. Now, side by side, these relics, heart-shaped, brass-plated, iron-worn, are fastened across the fence in mosaic fashion. Their rough textures catch the afternoon light, casting shadows that shift like the tides of time. No two pieces are alike. Some are tied with humble jute twine. Others dangle from bent wire, their patina telling of rain, of hands that once held them, of places long past. Twisting vines creep up through the gaps in the wood, embracing the metal like nature reclaiming its place, while potted blooms below soften the composition with bursts of yellow and orange flame. This is more than art. It's a quiet rebellion against waste. A celebration of the beautifully broken. And the best part? You can craft it yourself. Don't toss out those old padlocks, keys from drawers long emptied, or that box of screws you once meant to sort. Instead, string them like poetry across your garden wall. Drill gently, tie creatively, and let imperfection become your design principle. The charm doesn't lie in perfection. It lies in the rust, the flaked paint, the cracks and crooked angles that tell the truth. Because a garden doesn't have to be all flowers and soil. Sometimes, it can hold secrets. And with nothing more than forgotten keys and a bit of wire, your fence becomes a story, one only the curious will stop to read. (19) Rope borders around flower beds for cottagecore garden vibe. In the golden hush of early evening, when the sun begins its slow descent and the garden hums with quiet life, a path winds gently between wildflowers, not lined with bricks or stone, but with something softer, something humbler. Thick ropes, weathered by time and touch, stretch between handmade wooden posts, guiding footsteps like a gentle whisper through fields of bloom. This is no ordinary garden border. This is a celebration of simplicity, a story woven with jute and memory. Rope, once forgotten in a shed or left coiled beside the tools of forgotten projects, finds new purpose here. It frames flower beds not with rigid lines, but with flowing curves that mirror the sway of cosmos, the pop of poppies, the delicate nod of chamomile dancing in the afternoon breeze. There's something profoundly grounding about this kind of DIY. It requires no perfection, just intention. A few worn posts, a coil of rope, even better if it's slightly frayed, bearing the patina of use, and suddenly, a pathway becomes poetry. It's ideal for those who cherish a cottagecore charm, that romantic nod to the untamed, where gardens are less a display and more a dialogue with nature. The rope softens the garden's edge while still offering definition. It gently encourages where to step, without interrupting the wild narrative of the plants themselves. You don't need to spend a fortune or search for pristine materials. This garden idea thrives on imperfection. If the posts are uneven or the rope is mismatched in tone, let them be. That's the beauty of it. That's what makes it feel real, lived in, loved. As dusk deepens and fireflies emerge like stars in the grass, this border seems to hold more than flowers. It holds warmth, story, and the quiet joy of having made something meaningful with your own hands. So next time you come across an old rope, don't toss it. Let it find its place among your blooms. Let it guide the way. "20 worn bamboo curtains into DIY Zen patio dividers." In a quiet corner of the garden, where time seems to breathe slower and the wind whispers softer, something beautiful unfolds, not from perfection, but from purpose reborn. Here, worn bamboo curtains, once overlooked and frayed by years of sun and rain, rise again, not as shades or blinds, but as dividers of space and keepers of peace. Their golden, weathered slats create a natural rhythm, a vertical poetry that doesn't shout but hums gently, like a bamboo flute in the distance. In the first image, a serene garden sanctuary is embraced by towering bamboo canes, creating a secluded Zen pocket. Nestled within are Buddha sculptures and potted lilies, resting on beds of smooth stones. The bamboo enclosure, though unrefined, breathes tranquility. It doesn't conceal the garden, it cradles it. If you have a corner, even a small one, imagine repurposing your broken blinds or salvaged bamboo poles this way. Nature will reward the effort with calm. Then there's a view from a narrow patio, where an old bamboo screen hangs between wood beams. Behind it, sunlight filters softly through the faded weave, casting a dappled dance onto ferns and ceramic fountains. This is where simplicity meets serenity. There's no need to spend a fortune, just a bit of imagination and respect for materials already aged by life. And in the last frame, bonsai trees stand like ancient guardians along both sides of a DIY bamboo divider. The air feels still, You can almost hear the silence. It's a reminder that old doesn't mean useless. It means seasoned, storied, full of quiet wisdom. This divider isn't just for privacy, it's for soul space. A soft boundary between the noise of the world and the stillness we long for. Tip from the garden: if your bamboo slats are broken, don't discard them. Bind them with string, mount them between wooden posts, and let the plants around them soften the edges. Over time, the patina of age will only enhance their charm. It's not about perfection, it's about peace. In a time where fast fades quickly, there's magic in reimagining what's been left behind. In a humble slat of bamboo, a broken curtain, or a forgotten post lies the architecture of a sanctuary waiting to bloom. Let your garden be that space, not only of beauty but of quiet reinvention, where every rustle of bamboo tells you, here, you are welcome. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.